Continuation of the demonstration on the low-waisted skirt. So after drafting, to pull out the facing of the low-waisted skirt, you want to go ahead and draw out however wide you want the facing of the skirt to be. So again, remember that my blue outline is going to be my finished pattern. So from my blue line down, I have measured 2.5 inches down, and I've marked it, and another 2.5 inches on the front pattern. Underneath it, I have placed a plain sheet of paper, and I have used my tracing wheel to trace the upper edge of the pattern, the center back of the pattern, including the seam allowances, the edge of the facing, or the bottom of the facing, and the side seam. Now remember, all this includes all the seam allowances that I added to the pattern. And I just repeated the same thing on the front. Now, once you have done that, you separate it. This is what it would look like. I'm not sure if you can see the perforated lines, but I will go ahead and pencil that in so that you can see what I'm talking about. So this is my center front of my front facing. And if it helps you as you pattern to use different colors, different color pencils or pen, so that you know what it is that you've done and you can keep track of your steps, okay? If it also helps you, you can write all your notes as you progress. So for example, this is my facing pulled out, and I know that all my seam allowances have already been added. You can add a little note on the pattern saying that you have added seam allowance. That way you don't make the mistake of adding seam allowance twice. Okay, so this is the traced facing, and the next thing I'm going to do is to close the dart. So those are my two facings. Again, you can see that there is no dart showing up on the front pattern, but on the back there is. Now, when it comes to the facing, you have to close those darts. So all I'm going to do is extend the tip of my dart down on both. And I'm going to cut through the pattern piece and close the dart. Just cut one dart leg, that's good enough. And then cut the extended point at the bottom. Okay? So one dart leg cut and the extended point at the bottom. And the next thing I'm going to do is just overlap it so that the cut edge of that dart touches the other, and it closes the dart at the waist. Repeat that same thing to the second dart. One dart leg and the bottom extension. Oops. Now, if that happens, don't be afraid. Don't be fretting or afraid that you've messed up. There is nothing wrong there. All you do is just take the slanted piece and overlap it back and shut with tape. It's a mistake that can always be fixed. And at this point, it is ready to be finished. Okay, so I will go ahead and just clean finish the edges. Just cut along the shape of my pattern. Where you've got a really deep corner or angle, just go ahead and blend that, okay? Blending just means turning a sharp point or an angle to a smooth curve, okay? And that's all that is. Very easy to do. Okay, so now that that has been taped up, now sometimes you might lose, okay, that's the correct part. So just like I suggested before, always a good idea to label your pieces, okay? All right, so to finish this, and you repeat this for the front, okay? Pattern on the fold. Place your rough draft also on the fold. Tape in place or staple in place and cut that out, okay? And that will conclude this particular pattern piece for the facing. You'll go ahead and label it, and don't forget to make a fusing piece for it as well. So it's pretty easy, and with this knowledge you can pretty much make a facing for anything, an armhole, a neckline, a pant front. Okay, so there is now our finished waist facing. Okay. Make sure you go ahead and put your notches as usual. So on your side seams you have a 1/2 inch. On your center back you have 3/4 because of the zipper. And that's about all you need. And then you notch those. And this will be done. Okay. And there you have it. Okay. Center back, no seam. There we go. So 2 pieces because that is center back with a zipper opening. Okay. Okay, so we're going to set that aside and complete the front patterns. So my seam allowance, the top hashed mark area is the discarded area that we will not need. You do want to make sure that you're able to true the dart. In this case, it's really tiny, so it might not make much of a difference, but you still want to true it anyway, and if it does make a difference, then it does. Okay. Don't assume that because it is small, it won't. Just do it anyway. So that makes the back pattern piece, which a clean finished pattern would require doubling your paper and tracing all your marks and making sure that your pattern is nice and neat and properly labeled. Your center front will be 1 piece cut on the fold, and your back piece will be 2 separate pieces mirrored to each other, okay? And that will be the completion of this particular demo. If you have any questions, please just feel free to ask, okay? So your double sheet, center front pattern. Directly on the fold and ready to cut. I'm going to cut it out and be right back.